The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, Week 5 game previews and score projections. If you want to follow along in severe detail and really get the minutia of what's happening here, because we're on team hashtag don't get sued, go to my Facebook page, facebook.com/thepme. Hit the cheat sheet. You can also find the cheat sheet in the description of the show. Makes it a nice companion piece to follow along with. So I recommend that everyone go check that out. Okay? All right, now that we've cleared that up, I do want to tell everyone to smash the like button. That's step 1. Step 2, leave your Draftkings handle in the comment section. You tell me which team is going to score the most points in Week 5. If your name gets drawn from everyone who hits the like button, leaves their name, and enters the response, you will be in a draw for $20 DK. I will announce the winner on Monday's live show, 10 a.m. Eastern Time on the Draftkings YouTube channel. Or if you just listen to the audio version after the fact, you'll still hear the winners on there. Hopefully it's you. It probably won't be, but you know, you can always wish. Joining me on the show, we were trying to find a replacement for Geoff Fienberg since he went to the West Coast, went to the Chargers game, and we decided, hey, why don't we just call Geoff Fienberg? Geoff, what's going on?
How's it going, guys? Excited to do it.
Do you find this interesting that like you're by phone? I don't think we've done like 2 or 3 by phone before. I mean, I get to sit in a comfier chair when you're not in studio, so that's nice. But do you find like the rhythm is off when you're not here?
Yeah, I do.
All right.
Significantly.
All right, well, before we recap the week and get into the games, I do want to introduce the 4th member of the team, because the 3rd member of the team is this coin, which picks are hot fire so far this season, beating all of us in picks, especially me. But the man's name that you are all waiting for with his fire picks and crazy takes, it's Tim Undergust.
Tim Undergust.
That is not my name. I'm on fire too. Listen, Raider Stack was a great call on Sunday.
How much did you win?
If you went and played Raiders,
How much did you win?
People could have won their free DK bucks with the Raiders because they scored the most points last week.
How much did you win?
That's a secondary question. I got messed up on my pro line and I didn't win. But the more important thing was Raider Stack was a great call, and I deserve some credit.
You don't, because you didn't win anything for it.
And
it's just like when you demand credit for everything, you don't actually do it.
You know, Geoff will get used to the phone board. I do this thing every week. You get used to it.
Yeah, but you're always doing it this way. You're never in studio.
Well, maybe that'll change at one point.
Potentially. We'll see about that. I don't know if that's in the budget. Anyway, to recap last week's picks, I'm a disaster so far in 2017. Like, it's truly embarrassing how poorly I'm doing at picks. But I was 3-9-3 last week. That brings my total to 16 games under 500 in picks. 21-37-5. Feinberg was 8-4-3, and he is now 6 games above 500, 32-26-5. Tim was 7-5-3, he's 31-27-5. You guys are in a dead heat, but you're still a lot of games behind the mighty coin. The coin tied Geoff for the best week, 8-4-3, 38-20-5. Our confidence picks of the week, the only place where I'm actually doing well, and I suppose that's really all that matters when it pertains to what I actually care about. I had Tennessee, 3-1 for me. You guys both hit on New England and Chicago. You're both 2-2 for the year. It's really, truly embarrassing that you guys can't come up with better confidence picks than a guy who can barely pick 10% of games right like me.
You're up by a game on us. It's not like you're like up 6 or 7 games. You're up by 1 game. Let's pump the brakes a little bit.
3-1?
Speaking of pumping the brakes, this guy comes in and like we just need to like give him credit for his Raider call for last week.
Yes, that's what I was looking for. I was fishing for some credit.
Oh, you didn't even do better than me or the coin.
Okay, now but that's a secondary point. Let's not shift the goalposts here. Like, yeah, you know, I didn't do as good as the coin, but you know, it'd be a real shame if something happened to that coin.
Like I spent it? like if I spent the coin, then that would be bad?
Yeah, well, what a shame if that were to get lost into circulation.
Well,
just become another coin.
Put it this way: if you came into the studio, I will pay you to do the show. I'll pay you $1 gold that I have right here. Then you can have the coin, and maybe you can harness some of its power.
I don't believe in mystical or foreign powers like that.
Maybe you should.
No, I don't believe in those metaphysical hexing things and powers and all that.
See, I attribute my lack of success in predicting all the games last weekend to the great amount of success that myself and one Mr. Geoff Fienberg had in calling the Ryder Cup and exactly how it was going to play out. So
Congratulations on that.
I used up all my I mean, you saying it would be over Saturday night for the Americans really, really strongly influenced how poorly they actually played.
Who knew they were going to come to they were almost ready to come to blows with each other. Like, I didn't realize how combustible that locker room was. You guys get all the credit. You nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. I was dead wrong.
See, the thing is, we get all the credit and we get all the associated dollars that go along with it for being right in certain circumstances like this. You couldn't even put your Raider stack, which was great, together and win any bucks on it.
Thanks. I'm aware of this.
Yeah, so great work for you. All the credit goes for you for not winning with the play of the week.
Yeah, see, this is what it is. If I get something wrong, you know what? We're not here to rehearse my grievances.
Well, I mean, the grievance should just be you should feel stupid for having the good call of the week that no one else had, and yet fail to do anything with it.
I mean, that's sort of my go-to, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's not good. Let's get into the games. Thursday night game, Indy at New England. Projections have New England as gigantic, with a gigantic winning probability in this game. It's at Foxborough. They're coming off the big win. Tim, you will get credit for calling that last week. Blowout time at home against Miami. No Marlon Mack, no T.Y. Hilton, no Jack Doyle. All three have been declared out for the Indianapolis Colts. Geoff, we'll go to you first on this. We don't like to spend too much time on the Thursday night game, but what do you see here?
In the end, I'm going to take New England. I'm going to take it big. But unfortunately, I don't think I would be able to go to bed early if I choose to do anything with it, because Andrew Luck will have the ball with 4 minutes left and probably a chance to ruin it, if you feel me. So that's the major concern there. But I do have to pick New England. I do think they would take care of business in this one, 34-17.
I think that New England's going to win as well, but I think it's a bit closer than that. Indy's defense has actually been kind of good so far this season. They actually have the second best or third best adjusted sack rate per DVOA on the defensive line. They're not taking sacks, which is kind of crazy because their offensive line isn't actually good. Andrew Luck is just getting the ball out so quickly, and they're running so many plays. They're just constantly moving the ball up the field. So it kind of seems like they're never quite out of it. The lack of talent, that concerns me. Most definitely, but I think this is one of these games where New England is going to come out kind of slow. They'll score their points. They'll get up by like 10 at some point. Then Andrew Luck will have like a meaningless touchdown at the end, and the score will appear closer than the game would have been. But my prediction for this is going to be like 24-21 for the Patriots. Tim, what are you saying?
Before we go on, Gronkowski playing? Have you heard any update on him?
He's playing. I mean, there's no official word yet, but he's playing.
Okay. I think the Patriots demolish Indianapolis. This is just not a bad spot for the Colts. On the road, in Foxborough, a team that didn't have to travel last week in New England. They played a picture-perfect game, and the Dolphins fell flat. I picked it 33-17, so Geoff and I are pretty close here. I don't think the Colts have a prayer.
I don't understand the league's new trend of teams that are playing on Thursday. The home team should be playing a road game the week before.
Totally.
Last week, the Rams got to play at home versus the Chargers, or the Vikings had to come in. You got to make these teams play a road game before the Thursday nighter. It continues to bug me. And when Thursday Night Football started, that was the case. And they've gotten away from it. And it makes even more so me leaning to Tim's take on how this game might play out.
Well, the home team has won every Thursday Night Football game so far, haven't they?
Yes.
Philly won, Cleveland won. Sorry, Tim, about your Jets.
Cincinnati won,
and the Rams won.
The Rams.
Yeah. The coin, for reference, likes Indianapolis in this spot. So the coin knows these things, much more than the three of us combined.
I'm happy with my record. You're not going to bring me down.
I'm quite happy with my record, too. I'm not upset at some inanimate, fluky coin that'll get it.
Well, right now, Tim, in this, you've never beaten me in a season worth of picks in like the 8 years that we've been doing this. I'm currently giving you 10 games in terms of record. I have 21 wins. You have 31 wins. Would you say that it's over yet?
Give me one more week. We're only a quarter of the way. Give me one more week before I dance on your grave.
Perfect. This is exactly right. One more week. Listen, I can go 0-15 this week. It'll be fine. I'll rebound from this. Let's start with the Sunday slate of games. Atlanta at Pittsburgh. Projections have this being around a field goal game, and actually projections have this as being the highest scoring game of the year in terms of total points. The last time we saw Atlanta go outdoors, Tim, it was in Philly, week 1, and no one could score any points. Do you see similar things happening here? Because the same thing just happened in New Orleans last week. They still scored points, but again, projections loved that game as being super high scoring, and it just wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be higher scoring than a lot of people might think, only because, I mean, I'll give you my score. It's 34-30 Pittsburgh. So I like 64 points to be scored in the game. And it's because I don't think Pittsburgh can stop anybody either. I think the Ravens offense is actually pretty anemic and pretty uninteresting. And yet and they were able to score points on the Steelers. I think Atlanta, who have better weapons at almost every position, should be able just as well to get up and down the field on Pittsburgh. I think in the end, Pittsburgh's got more offensive talent at home because Atlanta, Atlanta's defense is somehow even worse than Pittsburgh. Atlanta does not have a defense. Atlanta is not a team that can win the Super Bowl, is not a team that can make the playoffs because they don't play half the game. Like, they're going to have all their work ahead of them to even get to 8 wins this season. They're in a whole lot of trouble. Their ship is taking on more water than it can bear. It's rushing over the bulkheads because they can't stop anybody. And Pittsburgh, even though that they are still down the best running back in the league, it won't matter. They'll be able to summon up enough strength against what is a college defense to put up 34 points in a 34-30 win. And an exciting game between two teams that aren't going anywhere.
Do you still think that Le'Veon Bell is going to be the best running back in football if he doesn't go to the Jets next year?
I have already accepted that I don't think he's going to go to the Jets. The team it makes most sense for is the Miami Dolphins. Why the Dolphins don't call and get him right now, I have the foggiest idea. He'd be the perfect addition to a team that can make the playoffs with him.
Oh, my God. You wrote off Miami last week as gigantic frauds, and there's no way they could win
the
division.
They are frauds, but if you added him to the backfield...
You really think... I mean, put it this way. Like, projections don't change if Leonard Fournette doesn't play for the Jags. Like, 0%. So you think that adding Le'Veon Bell to the Dolphins makes them a playoff team all of a sudden? Give me a break.
They are. Well, I think they're already a quasi-playoff team just based on right. They're 3-1 for the quarter.
Yes, okay. They've clinched a playoff spot 4 games into the season. Thanks.
You again are, as usual, you're mischaracterizing my.
You just said they're a playoff team because of their records 4 fucking weeks into the season.
We are. So we're 25% of the way through the year. They're 3-1. Can they make the playoffs in a weak AFC? Of course they could. You had Le'Veon Bell. Drake's giving them nothing. Bell can give them something. You can disagree all you want. That's fine. Bell is still a 1 or 2 best running back in the league. You add that to a Dolphins team that doesn't really have any big holes anywhere else. That team becomes interesting. That becomes a team that could vie for the playoffs. So you get in the playoffs, you win the Super Bowl. So,
Geoff?
I agree with a lot of Tim's sane takes on this game. And I'll just break it down to the point that Atlanta's weaknesses right now, Pittsburgh could take full advantage with the passing game. This is going to be one of those days where the Pittsburgh Steelers look really good, in my opinion. We know, they lack that middle ground game that we kind of always joked about. They've been horrible at home this year, which is weird. So I think they're going to be awesome at home this Sunday. Atlanta, the league tried to hook them up to get off fast start with all those home games. They're in a bad spot, and especially if Freeman doesn't play, I don't think Atlanta can take advantage of Pittsburgh's greatest weaknesses at the moment. I think Brown gets off the mat. Juju gets his. It's going to be a high-scoring game. I'm not doubting Atlanta's going to be able to move the ball either, but I don't think Atlanta's as good as Kansas City or maybe even Baltimore, who moved the ball quite easily on Pittsburgh. High-scoring game. Give me the Steelers like 36-30. 36-31.
Well, here's the thing. It seems like every Atlanta game comes down to one possession, regardless of who they're playing, because that defense is so bad. I can see, we're not even sure that, Freeman might be back for this game, and maybe that doesn't matter all that much. It does feel like both teams are going to score a lot. I think it's lower scoring than people think, and Atlanta's going to have a shot to win this, either by I mean, hopefully they have the ball on the final drive for my pick, because I'm picking Atlanta to win this game. But if it's Pittsburgh who has the ball in the final minute of the game, they're probably going to win, because they're probably either going to drive down, kick a field goal, or drive down and score a touchdown. That's how bad Atlanta's defense is. So I'm going to say Atlanta wins 31-28. And in better news, the coin also agrees with me on this one. We're both taking Atlanta here. You guys are both taking Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I'm on Pittsburgh, and I would also say it's been extremes this year, what we're seeing in sort of recency bias as it pertains to primetime teams. And I don't know, Pittsburgh embarrassed themselves in Sunday Night Football in many ways to a lot of people, especially the guy calling the game, Al Michaels. If you heard any of that call, you knew who he had to win the football game. So, I think people are just down on the Steelers. I think this is their big bounce back offensive fun spot.
Well, I mean, Al Michaels is working in the same parameters that we're working on for the show, which I must say should be resolved potentially by next week. So that's good news.
But Geoff made a good point. I mean, Pittsburgh in the second half against Tampa on Monday Night Football didn't score a point and were terrible. And then the entire Sunday Night Football game against the Ravens looked terrible. So I can understand why you would be inclined to take the Falcons. But one has to assume there's enough sort of like muscle memory for Pittsburgh. I mean, if Pittsburgh can't get up for this game, you can write them off.
I mean, you're so big on just if team loses a game, you write them off. Like, oh, they're done.
No.
They can't come back. It'd be like
But
if
it's emblematic of.
Put it this way: if New England had lost last week, you were willing to write them off. They won, and now they're overwhelming favorites to win the division. Like,
I don't think they're overwhelming, but I think they are the favorite. I mean, they're still currently not winning the division. I mean, but I think they will.
But I thought you had said the Dolphins were going to win the Super Bowl.
No, again, thankfully, fair-minded listeners know exactly by this point what your game is, and you're not going to get me all worked up by distorting things I never said.
Well, how about this? Did you say last week that the Jets would win the AFC East?
Yeah, I did. I'm a fool.
So, you remember that train you were talking about that was leaving the station? And then you said things like, boop, boop, for Super Bowl Sam? What happened to that?
I mean, I feel like the last scene from the movie Bridge Over River Kwai, where Alec Guinness's character says, "What have I done?" as the train then blows up and falls into the water. I mean, I feel like Colonel Nichols from Bridge Over River Kwai.
You're really connecting with the audience on that reference, by the way.
It's a good spot-on train reference and clever. Anyway, yeah, the team is not good. And are we going to talk about that game next? Is that next on the docket?
No, it's not. It's actually 2 from now. Next up,
let's postpone my thoughts on that till we get to that game.
Well, we have 3 projected really, really, really close games in a row. In fact, projections can't even figure out who's going to win these games because it's like fractional points separating them in what the simulations have run. But we have Baltimore at Cleveland. Divisional game. I picked the Ravens to win this division, and right now they're sort of in the driver's seat, I guess, if they can beat Cincinnati. That's what it's going to come down to. Can they win their home game against Cincinnati and see how the chips may fall? And Cincinnati's defense should get a little bit better this week with Burfict coming back. But, I don't know, Geoff, do you think Cleveland can win here?
I absolutely do think Cleveland can win, especially after everybody, sort of saw Baltimore look fantastic on Sunday Night Football. I think now that they've won 2 in a row, I guess it's easy and it's hyperbole. This is the biggest game in forever for Cleveland Browns football, in the sense that, okay, it's nice they had that comeback, hot fire start versus the Jets. They got the win. Last week looked fun. But, they showed week 1 they could hang with Pittsburgh, even with all those turnovers. And they've just got to show that they belong in this division against those teams. And as you said, Pat, for good reason, you feel good about your Baltimore season prediction. But I think it's going to be that whole division is going to be up in the air on Sunday night. I think the Brownies win this one.
Really?
Give me
Browns win?
Yeah, 24-21. Browns win the football game. Yeah, a close one. A really exciting football game. I think it's a game with some of the bigger implications of the entire week, and it's a game I am so stoked for, which is so weird, even going back like a month mentally in my head that I'd be here today with this game.
I don't mind the Browns. This is going to be the toughest defense they play in a while. So if you have Baker Mayfield in fantasy, you might want to hold on to him, even if you don't start him this week, because the next few weeks he goes Chargers, Bucks, Steelers, Chiefs, Falcons, or his next 5 games after that. Those are all very fantasy-friendly matchups, high-scoring affairs. This one, Tim, it just seems like Baltimore's a different class of team, and they get Hayden Hurst back, and they get Jimmy Smith back here.
Yeah, if you look at the DVOA rankings, and I sort of think they're useful, the Ravens are the 5th best team, and the Browns are the 28th best team. There is quite a chasm in talent between these two teams. Projections, I think, are off here. Baltimore should take down the Browns with relative ease. I have the game picked 26-17. The Steelers or the Browns are just a run around, try to figure it out on the fly sort of team. Very poorly coached. I don't think they have a plan. Their defense was absolutely exposed last week. Their defense looked bad in the first half against the Jets. Their defense held against the Saints, but the Saints were sort of in a spiral, and the Steelers, who haven't looked great, managed to score enough not to lose. I actually don't think the Browns do anything particularly well. And thankfully, now the numbers say they like the defense at 4, but their special teams is somehow the worst in the league. Their offense is impotent. I don't know. I don't believe in this Browns team. I think everyone wants them to be good. They want the wish to become the author of the thought. I think this team is overrated. I actually don't like this Browns team. I actively root against this Browns team. I'm very annoyed for a lot of reasons about them, particularly since they got their first win against my team. I'm very agitated by them. I want them to lose. I think they're going to lose. I think the Ravens, who I don't particularly like the Ravens either that much, but I think the Ravens.
Imagine being a man of the people that can't even respect any success for the lower class.
What do you mean the lower class? I mean, they're a marquee, they're a long-standing franchise in the
That
NFL.
have had nothing, and you can't even I get not thinking they're going to win, or thinking they're any good, but the fact that they can have any amount of success is bothersome to you is weird.
They can have success when they actually have it. They've yet to earn any real success. Come on. They beat the Jets on Thursday night. Oh, goodness.
I'll also say this, and don't be surprised when it happens. The Browns are going to get the yellow flags to go their way this week at a crucial moment. You believe it. Baker Mayfield's going to need a 3rd and 7, and he throws the incomplete pass. You're going to see some illegal contact hanky coming. Trust me. League-wide agenda. Give them they're getting hooked in an important game for them this Sunday.
Do they also get to open up a fridge for free Bud Light if they win their second game too? Or am I supposed to pretend to have to care about that gimmick as well?
Why are you afraid of the people getting free beer, Tim? Why do you hate that?
Free Bud Light to people if an NFL team wins a game. Oh, because they haven't won in so long. Cry me a river. Come on, I'm not interested.
You're so jealous. You're so jealous that Cleveland got Baker Mayfield and you got shitty Sam.
No, that's not it at all.
You see how your voice went up? You see how your voice went up there? It means you are very jealous. He's not even Super Bowl Sam. He's not even fucking Arena Bowl Sam. He's CFL Sam at best.
They got Baker Mayfield and you got Fat Fienberg.
Yeah, you got the unattractive Sam.
Skinny Fienberg.
Yeah, I mean, we should definitely judge him based on 3 games and project him out. That seems like a very reasonable thing to do.
4 games.
I'll say something nice about him soon. Don't worry.
Thank you. As will I.
And I might too, actually. I think just Baltimore's a different class of team in this game.
I agree with you.
Their defense is already good, and now they're getting better by probably getting either their best or second most impactful defensive player. Their secondary looks sharp, and the Browns' offense reeks. If Carlos Hyde can't get going, this is going to be a tough game for Landry to do much. Callaway is just dropping passes. Njoku's dropping passes. This just seems like 23-13 to me. It's a division game, so it could be close. But honestly, by projections, it doesn't really matter. It's who you think is going to win this game. I think Baltimore is going to win this game. Tim, you're on the same page with me. And even better news, like I mentioned for the first 2, I'm tailing the coin. Coin also likes Baltimore. Geoff, you're on an island here.
I don't know what's going to happen with the coin this week. Is he going to keep his hot streak, or are you going to bring it down?
Yeah, am I going to curse the coin? Maybe this is what the coin needs to really drag it down to Davy Jones's locker. It's just me picking alongside of it.
or it's what you need.
Yeah, I mean, I need to elevate my game. He's like a buoy. He's going to help me out. Well, I mean, I kind of want to make a wager on this, Tim, about straight up. What sort of odds would you give me that I beat you in pick'em straight up this season in terms of record? Although I'm 10 games behind you right now.
I don't know. I feel like I'm like a minus 115 favorite, minus 120 favorite.
So you're a big favorite against me, is what you're saying, despite the fact that I'm 10 games behind.
Yeah, listen, I that's how little.
So hold on. Based on that claim, that at this point in the year you should essentially be like minus 110, which is a pick'em by standards. What would this have been before the year started?
I would have laid.
But like a 8-1 underdog, like 7.
No, not quite that bad. I think I would have been he would have been minus 200.
So I'd be a 2-1 favorite to beat you in our year-long pick'em. And now I'm 10 games behind after a quarter of the season, which you feel is like insurmountable in terms of real
Not quite
NFL.
a quarter because it's 17 weeks.
All right, so not quite a quarter. We're a month into the season. I'm 10 games behind you in pick'em. And essentially you're just saying that we're now a pick'em because I'm 10 games behind.
Yeah, I mean, you're the expert. I am just.
Oh, I've never claimed to be an expert. I'm just an expert generally when compared to picking against you.
I'm showing some deference. Some respect here.
Give me 2-1, and I'll bet you I beat you this year.
No, I will not do that yet. Maybe another week you can talk me into it, but right now I'm holding firm.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm gonna have it. I'm feeling like I'm having a good week here.
Well,
I got the coin on my side. We're picking together. I feel like it's all gonna come down to Thursday for me. Every time I get Thursday right, I have a good week. Every time I get Thursday wrong, I have a brutal week. I'm 1-3 on Thursday night so far this season. And the one good week, the week I got the Thursday. I think I picked the first 8 games wrong last week. That's not good.
Well, the first game was a tie.
Can I admit to something horrible?
Yes, absolutely.
So I went 8-4-3 last week on the show.
Yeah.
And epic miscalculation, and I was doing pretty good 3 weeks into the year to this never mind.
Yeah.
I just forgot to submit something last week. And
Oh. Oh, that's devastating. I bet you you're still beating me.
And I probably realized that I forgot to do that while Kittle Me Timbers was running like 80 yards into my end zone right in front of my face. It all hit me at the same time.
Do you think that when George Kittle runs down the field on a 75-yard touchdown, he just laughs like a maniac like Tim does the entire time? He's by everyone. He's like, Kittle Me Timbers!
Let's move on.
Next game, Denver at CFL Sam and the New York Jumbo Jets. Projections have this game very close. In fact, they might even give a slight lean to the New York Jets in this situation. Honestly, I'm not one to disagree with that. It's a short week in a prime spot, traveling a few time zones to the East Coast to play an early game for Denver, who looked kind of brutal. The only good part of the Jets' defense really is their pass rush, and if you can get to Case Keenum, you can get him making some bad choices super quickly. So if the Jets can get up in this game like 7-0 or 10-0, it might be over for Denver.
I want to go ahead of Tim here for a moment.
Please.
This might be my super luck. I'm going to ride the New York Jets here. To me, did you guys see the Monday Night Football game was the highest rated non-Cowboy game in like 3 or 4 NFL years?
People love
it. For the most.
Man, it's all Mahomes. Mahomes is fun to watch.
Okay, fine. But my point being is all those squares, and I wasn't sharp enough to be on one side or square enough to be on the other for that one. I just stuck it out, and some people were smart enough to get both of them. But I'll say this. All those people, the public, that got bailed.
What?
I believe he has dropped off. So those little lines don't actually like mimic, or they don't actually like match up with your voice. Like I thought they were like, okay.
With what?
Like I thought when I spoke, that was the reverberations of my voice on the screen.
You thought that the screen was actually mimicking your voice?
Yes, I did actually. Those lines I thought moved when I spoke. Like I thought those were in tandem with. Thought it was like registering my voice.
How do you think technology works like that?
Well, I'm sure like
And why did he only recognize that?
Oh my god, when you go to like sporting events and they do like the loudness meter at the game, do you think that's really registering like decibels? That's not just a computer graphic? No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No.
That's how like stadiums like the loudest that's how Arrowhead like gets the record for loudest stadium.
No, that's all.
Like
you know when they show you the meter and it's like, hey, get loud, and like the people cheer louder and it goes up. Yeah, that's not real, Tim. That's all fake news.
Well, some are.
No, they aren't.
The ones I've seen, I thought.
No.
Were.
Yeah. Apparently, you don't know anything.
I know things.
You don't
They're
know. You don't know. Apparently, you don't know things. When you were on Hollywood Celebrities, what do they know? Do they know things? Let's find out. We found out. You don't know things.
Has he been triggered before because they gave a different
I do know
section,
things.
the loudest section?
Yeah, like I mean,
His section was loud.
you can register the decibels, but that's like some dude with like however you measure decibels with like a thing. It has nothing to do with like the graphic that you see when they're measuring it to be louder.
Oh, see, now I thought that was connected. All right, well, I was wrong. I thought it was connected to like the sound that you make at the stadium. It registers on that thing.
This is almost as bad as your take of when you left the TV on because you thought it affected ratings.
Yeah, I didn't realize that only like Nielsen families got that. I thought like everyone's TV registered for ratings. Yeah, I used to I'd go out for the afternoon, but I don't want my shows being canceled or whatever. So back then, I would tape whatever show I'm going to miss, but I'd leave the TV on so that they got my rating. I did that for years. I had no idea.
Geoff, did you hear what he said while you were dropped off the line?
I don't know no, I didn't.
Well,
no.
You see on the screen right now about how it has like the voice meter running like by underneath your name.
Yep.
Yeah, Tim thought that was actually tracking his voice patterns.
Oh dear God.
I did. And you know what? If I'm fooled, I guarantee you a lot of other people were too.
That is not a good way to go through life, thinking that whatever you think, that people also think. And we've proven that to be wrong like 8 times.
Well, I mean, people won't now admit that, but I think in reality, I bet you a strong percentage of people thought that matched up with my voice.
So where did I get lost there? So now they think the Broncos are competent. The Broncos have lost to the dumpster fire to me. That's the Raiders. That's the Seahawks. They probably lose to Baltimore, guys, if not for – that Baltimore game's probably a blowout, if not for 2 block kicks. I think this is a great spot for the Jets, who aren't nearly as bad as their record suggests, and who themselves, in my opinion, have been hampered by some bad spot games or situational games that have held them back. Again, I might be talking about this Jets game again at the end of the show. They're not nearly as bad as people think, and I think this is just a perfect situation for the Jets to get a win. Wow.
Yeah. So, Tim, Geoff and I are both picking the Jets here. Are you picking the Jets as well?
In this situation, I think I will, just because the Broncos are not a great road team to begin with, and certainly the West Coast team coming east just seems like in a close game that I guess you give the Jets the edge. It's only our second home game of the year, so hopefully maybe they can settle into something. I mean, listen, this team, and I woke up on Monday actually with quite a bit of relief because I realized that I had been deluding myself about what the team can do and that it doesn't matter what happens this season. This season is only about developing the quarterback, getting an infrastructure set up, so that next season and the season after, you can jump to the next level. But this year, the wins and losses don't even matter so much as the development does of Sam and the offense. So I think this is a decent spot for the Jets. I think they'll probably win. I'm not in love with the game, but it does seem like a spot that the Jets should be able to put together the right sort of plays to take advantage. Jacksonville's defense just mauled them to death, and they couldn't do anything against the Dolphins. They got blitzed by the Browns. So it's been a weird season so far. We have some.
Is there an updated win projection here?
I mean, I've almost at this point, I'm setting the number in my head at 7.5, and I'd like to see us get over, but I'm not worried about it anymore because all that really matters is that the Jets' offense gets right, so that by this time next year we can make the leap the way the Rams did with the second year of Goff. That's what I have to hope for.
Okay, so let's recap the Jet season so far from your perspective. Before the year, you picked them to go 14-2. After week 1, you predicted they would go 16-0. At the end of last week's show, you predicted they would win the AFC East. Now you're resigned to the fact that they're going to suck, yet they're probably still going to get 8 wins?
Well, no, I'm hoping that they get 8 wins. Maybe it's 7, maybe it's 6. I've come actually to a very sort of zen place on this, that it doesn't matter. If they win 3 games, it doesn't matter. All that matters is that the offense looks good. Like that.
Your 2018 Jets is really the reason you're an insane person in a sporting perspective. It really is, Tim. That you couldn't have seen this as a Jet fan as to what this season was supposed to be and is supposed to be. That you had to pick this team to win 12, 13, 14 games and literally have arguments with people who would pick against that.
Perhaps I didn't want to see it.
Okay, so let's go through updated schedule. You have them beating the Broncos this week. How about next week at the Colts? It's in New York against the Colts.
Colts have the mini bye. I guess I'll take the Colts.
Well, that's a big flip from, I believe on the preseason show, you said you beat them by 30.
I've changed my tune.
Okay, at the Bears.
That's a loss.
Okay, at the Dolphins. Super Bowl Dolphins, according to you.
I think we could win that game. I'll give us that game.
Okay, at home against the Bills.
Win.
At home against the Patriots.
Loss.
Oh, see, you flipped on that one already. At the Titans.
Loss.
At the Bills.
Win.
At home against the Texans.
You already said Texans.
No, I didn't.
You did.
I said the Titans.
You said the Texans. You meant to say Titans. Either way, that's a loss.
Okay. At home against the Packers.
Loss.
At the Patriots.
Loss.
So now, according to you, they were only going to.
There is a win against the Vikings. You didn't mention the Vikings. That'll be a win.
That's the win on here.
That Vikings team is trash, and I'm glad that people are now seeing it. So I think 6 wins down there.
Yeah, you got 6. So,
I think that's about right. 7's possible. 8's, the most optimistic one can be.
So 8's the most optimistic one can be on the Jets. Remember you said that, okay?
Yeah, I've come to a very good place with this team. I don't have to worry anymore.
It kind of sounds like you're taking meds, but the wrong meds. Like you've calmed down, but you're still crazy.
No. I mean, it's the win-losses aren't what matters with this team anymore. It's about getting right. It's about getting things lined up. So when the new regime takes over next year, there's a good building blocks for them to use.
Did something happen to your brain when that train exploded after it left and no one else could get on it?
I don't know what you mean.
What's that?
I don't know what you mean.
Well, you said that train exploded after it left the station week 1, and there was no more room for you idiots out there to get on the Jets train bandwagon. And then you said it exploded. So you were on that.
It fell into the river.
All right. Well, did you suffer a major concussion or head trauma because of it?
No. I had a moment of clarity.
So
Sully Sullenberger landed his train safely.
I had a moment
and
of
got
clarity
off.
about the team, and I'm not worried about them anymore because it doesn't matter how this season goes in terms of wins and losses. And that it's actually an incredible relief. Now I can channel all my energy in cheering against the Patriots and in wanting to see good football, and hoping that the picks that I made came true and wanting to see development.
Well, how about this? Don't watch the Jets game this weekend.
I'll watch it.
No, you don't need to.
Because I want to see how Darnold looks.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter how he looks. It matters how he looks this time next year. So when they win this game like 30-0, and you're back on here next week calling them Super Bowl Sam, and now they're gonna win out. Watch out, Patriots.
No, you've got me mispegged, sir.
All right. Next game, Green Bay at Detroit. Projections have this one being incredibly close. Aaron Rodgers, I thought, looked far more mobile last week than he had at any other point since he had gotten injured. Like he was running around. He wasn't walking with any sort of noticeable limp. He didn't have to do much against the Bills to get the victory, but still, it was encouraging to see him from a health perspective look all right. It doesn't look like Randall Cobb's going to play. Doesn't look like Geronimo Allison's going to play here. Darius Slay looks like he's probably going to go in this matchup. The one thing this comes down to me is I know Rodgers can put up points on the Lions. They can run the ball down the Lions' throat, but the Lions' pass rush has been pretty ferocious so far this year. And if Rodgers isn't at full capabilities, he still is a bit gimped, and that offensive line isn't good, I think this could be more of a defensive battle than people think. Tim.
I agree to an extent. I like the Lions to win the game 27-24, which is kind of low scoring considering the quality of offenses you've got in this game, but not as low scoring as perhaps or as low scoring as some might guess it would be. I mean, I think the Lions are just a better team at home. I think they are a different team at home. I mean, they dismantled the Patriots at home. They when they're inside on the fast track, they can take advantage of things. And I think a healthy Rodgers would be able to too, but he's not 100%. They don't have Cobb. The running game is still sort of inside out and upside down. So I just look at this Packers team and I see with Rodgers in his current situation, I see mediocrity. And I see that with the Lions, too, to some degree. But I think the Lions have a little bit more spark on the offensive side of the ball indoors. So without a ton of confidence, I would pick the Lions to win the game 27-24.
Yeah, I think this is lower scoring than that. I think that the Lions win this game, let's say 21-20. They win on a last-second field goal. Detroit loves having a chance to kick a last-second field goal to either win or lose the game. Sometimes they make it, sometimes they don't. I think this is a spot where they do get it. The coin also likes Detroit to win this game. They actually picked Denver in the last game. The coin was the only one on Denver. It's on Detroit with Tim and I. Where are you going here, Geoff? Do you like Green Bay?
Make it a clean sweep. I think Tim sort of made that case pretty perfectly between what's happening in Green Bay and Detroit seeming to be a different team at home. One of my favorite parts of an NFL season, stage one, happened this week. Aaron Rodgers takes low pro shots at the people upstairs for not doing enough, whether it be the offense this time or the defense he's complained about openly. Not openly, but vaguely, I should say. And that's one of my major talking points, the embarrassment that Green Bay is going to waste his career in terms of Super Bowls and getting to Super Bowls. A really close game. My confidence factor is incredibly low in it. All I can stand by is I think I'm 4-0 in picking Packer games this year. Give me a 24-21 Detroit Lions. Close, fun game at home. That probably ends how Pat projected it would.
Yeah.
One way or the other.
Round to Detroit for the four of us. Well, the three of us and the inanimate coin, which is the best at picking these games. Jacksonville at Kansas City. Projections have this being a field goal game. And in terms of, the home team is going to get that in this spot with the Kansas City Chiefs. They're projected to win the game. I just feel like they go down here. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I don't think this is going to be a defensive battle whatsoever. We know Kansas City's defense isn't very good, but I think Kansas City is not going to have a whole bunch of issues putting up points on Jacksonville. We've seen Jacksonville struggle against really top-tier, high-octane passing offenses, especially offenses that are both fast and can contribute down the field. We saw the Rams go in to Jacksonville last season, absolutely light them up. When Jimmy Garoppolo was working with Marquise Goodwin last year and they had that vertical threat, Jimmy Garoppolo just dropped a ton of points on them. It's not like they were banged up on defense. And even in the playoffs last year, Jacksonville won the game, but Pittsburgh still dropped 42 on this defense. I think Kansas City's offense is going to do well in this game in terms of points. So I expect a lot of scoring in this game, but I like Jacksonville to win. Tim?
I like the Chiefs to win 27-21. I think that Denver showed on tape to a team like Jacksonville, who has similar types of attacking pieces, what it is you have to do to sort of pen in the Chiefs to the extent that you can. The name of the game is, can you hold the Chiefs under 30? If you do, you can win the game because their defense is pretty bad. But again, Blake Bortles is Jekyll and Hyde. He plays great. He plays terribly. He plays great. He plays terribly. He did a wonderful job against the Jets. He looked terrible against the Titans. Feels like this could be an off week for him. Tough spot going to Arrowhead. I think the Chiefs were at an unsustainable pace. Monday night was a bit more towards where I think they are as an offense. This is not the greatest show on turf, even though it looked like numbers-wise they were on their way to getting there. Jacksonville has the defensive pieces like Denver, like I said, to slow down what Kansas City is doing enough to make it to keep them in the 20s, but Jacksonville doesn't get over the top. 27-21 Chiefs.
All right, so I mean, again, I do think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I didn't give a prediction for this, but I see this going a lot like the Texans and Colts game last week. So I'm going to predict the final score of this game is, let's say, 92-90 for the Jacksonville Jaguars, if that makes sense to you, Geoff.
It certainly does. If it doesn't, that would be a concern. 99 times out of 100, I would be salivating for an opportunity to get on the Jacksonville Jaguars this week. It sets up, you would just think it's an incredible spot. But I don't want to pick on this Kansas City Chiefs team for nothing. But when I mentioned a spot game, an emotional last-second road victory versus a rival on Monday Night Football. I mentioned when the Denver Jet game how everybody and their mom was watching it. So there's certain built-in perceptions coming off that into this game. I think the Chiefs win by a point. I think it's 28-27. Kansas City remains undefeated, a great football game. It's a horrible spot situation, but I'm not picking on them, was my final decision. And with this Jacksonville game this week and playing the Patriots next week, the virtues of having that first place schedule, I guess we'll really start to see the Patriots. The Chiefs.
With Jacksonville, there's going to be no Leonard Fournette. It doesn't look like Sammy Watkins is going to play for the Chiefs. I kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier, I actually think the Jags might be better without Fournette. Not to say that Yeldon's better than Fournette or Corey Grant's better than Fournette, but it seems like every time that Fournette ends up sitting, they game plan and scheme a little bit differently that makes their offense more potent. Like, they don't just turn around and hand the ball off to Fournette 28 times a game. They actually have to do things.
That they scored 6 points in that circumstance against the Titans. So, that's true sometimes.
Yeah, the Titans also have a top 5 defense in football.
Sure, that's true.
Kansas City does not. In fact, they have the worst defense in football.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying, even in that circumstance, they can still absolutely do nothing if Blake Bortles ruins the game. And I think that's a very likely thing that can happen.
Actually, they're not the worst defense in football. They're the second worst defense in football. The worst defense in football is...
By DVOA, it's Tampa.
Yeah, it's Tampa, Atlanta, or Tampa, Kansas City, Atlanta are the bottom 3.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And Kansas City is the only team inside the top 3 of DVOA overall that has a bottom 10 defense. Everyone else, defensive-wise, is inside the top 10, except for the Bengals, who are number 23. And we'll get to the Bengals right now. So Jacksonville, including myself, Geoff, and the Coin, and Kansas City for you, Tim?
Indeed.
All right. Miami at Cincinnati. Cincinnati, a very impressive win in Atlanta last week. Of course, Miami got the doors blown off of them in New England. I think that Miami can keep this close, though. Their defense is still pretty good. Burfict is going to be back for the Bengals. I feel like the Bengals have overachieved a little bit. This could be a bit of a letdown spot where this game gets kind of mucky. And you think eventually Miami is going to figure out they might need to try to run the ball at some point? I don't know if they're ever going to do that, but... I don't know. If Xavier Howard can limit, I know he's banged up, but if he can limit A.J. Green, and then they're relying on Tyler Boyd, a potentially returning Joe Mixon who's not at 100%, and Gio Bernard, I don't know if they can score enough just to run away with this game. So I'll take the Bengals to win, but I'll take it close in a sloggy type 23-20 game for Cincinnati. Geoff?
Yeah, I would agree very much with that assessment to how it might finally play out. Again, I guess by virtue of how exciting in some situations last week was, I think across the board this week, there's a ton of great spot situations to play against, and nothing, pops as more than the Bengals' last-second big road victory against a talented team. Now they come home. They have a projection that asks them to win a game by something that a lot of people don't expect maybe from the Bengals. I think this is a 21-18 Cincinnati holds on for the win, but it's going to be a tight one.
The coin likes Miami. Tim, who do you like?
I suppose I'm on an island again after the last game too, because I think this is a moment of testing for the Dolphins. They did not pass the first examination last week. Now going into Cincinnati, in a lot of ways, the Dolphins drew a pretty good schedule. They got to play at Foxborough and at Cincinnati in late September, early October, when it wasn't cold and wasn't snowing. And so they cannot come out of this any worse than 1-1 if they're to be a serious playoff contender in some ways, or at least a team that can do something, can be something. I think in the end, the Bengals are a good team and the Dolphins are a middle of the road team. And I think the Bengals came off a huge victory. They showed, again, they can score enough. They can score with anybody, but they can slow you down. They're one of the, I think, the very few teams in the league that are not worried about playing a shootout and also not worried about playing a slugfest. This is a game where I have the Bengals winning by 11, 30-19.
Okay. Giants at Carolina. Projections have this one a lot closer than I have it, put it that way. They don't have it super close, but it's also not as pronounced as I think this game's going to be. I could just have a complete blind spot here as it pertains to the Carolina Panthers. But coming off a bye week, the Giants are 29th in rush defense. All Carolina is going to do is run the ball down their throats this entire game. They won't be able to block anyone on the offensive side of the ball. So you're going to have to bank on big plays from Beckham, big plays from Barkley, and that's going to be it if it's going to be one of these situations. So I think Carolina absolutely smashes the Giants here at home, like 30-3.
Can I say I agree with pretty much your entire assessment. The Giants' only win to me was against the worst coach or one of the worst coaches in the league, who I'll probably continue to support this week, though. And early, there was a long time when, like, the internet loved Rivers' face, but I feel like Rivers' face is gone, and it's a lot of, like, Sunday night Eli face, going around the Twitter sphere.
Do you think that's going to hurt his Hall of Fame campaign versus Rivers?
No, I'm not getting there. They're both Hall of Famers to me.
So you like Carolina in this game too?
Yeah, big. I think your score is right. Historically, Eli, much like Phillip, is fantastic at making good on being spotted such big projections. So I'm worried about, maybe, the end of the game with, those one of his talented receivers sort of ruining that party. But by hook or by crook, I will support Carolina this week. I think they win this thing by double digits. Give me 28-17 Panthers off the bye.
I just don't see how New York stops them here. Like, the only thing that New York does well on defense is Janoris Jenkins. And, oh good, you're taking Devin Funchess out of the game. Big fucking deal. So the thing that Carolina does really well, running the ball, whether it's with McCaffrey or with Cam, is just going to be a nightmare for them to try to stop. So, Tim, sell us on the Giants, because you like taking the Giants for some reason.
Yeah, I'm going to pick against the Panthers here. I think the Giants win the game outright, 23-20. What I think will happen, and what I think the Saints game elucidated, was that the Giants' best chance to win the ball game is to put the ball in the hands of Barkley, their best player, the best player on the field on their side of the ball. I think better than Beckham right now. And I think that is precisely what the Giants are going to do. They're going to ground and pound the ball. They are going to try to bait. And the Panthers defense, is, I think, 24th overall. Not a defense by any means that has shown itself to be robust. You've got to keep Newton off the field. You've got to keep McCaffrey off the field. As you said, the Panthers have a pretty or at least the potential for a pretty potent offense. So you need to do your best to sort of limit your exposure to the Panthers. I just think the whole world is going to be on the Carolina Panthers this week. It seems like such an obvious pick. Everybody despises the Giants. They've written the Giants off. And if history repeats itself as it often does, this is the precise spot where the New York Giants show up and upset everybody's well-laid plans for the weekend, let's say.
Well,
so I would be taking the New York Giants. This is one of my favorite picks of the week, to be sure.
Really? I mean, that's kind of how I felt. Like, I felt like there was no easier pick last week than taking the Saints to go into the Meadowlands and beat the Giants. And then I started getting, like, queasy about it, being like, well, everyone likes the Saints. There's something fishy about this. And it turns out there wasn't. The Giants are just fucking terrible.
Yeah, they're not a great team, but on any given Sunday,
Everyone loved them to beat the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football.
I get everything you've said. I just think the Giants are going to play a very different game than we saw the last couple of weeks, and are going to try to maximize the skill that they have on the offensive side of the ball and try to minimize how much time Newton has. And so we shall see. I really like Big Blue in this spot.
No pass rush, no offensive line, one good defensive player, injuries. Like, basically, you're banking on Barkley and Beckham to both score 80-yard touchdowns, maybe 2 each in this game for them to compete.
Yeah, well, I don't agree, but we shall see.
How are the Giants going to stop Carolina, I guess is my question.
Well, they're outside of McCaffrey. You look at the receivers are poor. The tight end is injured. Newton himself gets rattled when he makes a mistake or so. You have to try to bait Cam into making throws that his receivers, who are not good, can't make. I mean, that's the defense. That's the defensive gamble you're taking, and you're just trying to keep him off the field. You're trying to do what the Lions did to New England 2 weeks ago. Keep them on the sidelines and ground the ball with Barkley. And I think that is going to be an effective strategy.
I just don't see it. Thomas Davis is not back this week. Because Carolina had the bye already, he's not back until next week, I believe, serve his 4 games. So there's a chance to take advantage of some of the defense, but their defense is probably never going to be healthier than it is at the moment. I just think having that bye week is so huge for this matchup, especially just with an AFC or NFC South team going into New York and just flowing. Like that, New Orleans should have beat New York by like 40 instead of what they beat them by.
Yeah, and they let the Giants hang around.
Well, they didn't really let them hang around. The game was never in question.
Well, but it was within a score there, at 26-18. Like, that's an indictment on the Saints, perhaps. They didn't really slam that door quickly enough.
I mean, would they kick 5-6 field goals?
Something like that. Well, that's not indicative of very good offensive play. Like, the Saints did not perform at a high level. The Saints kind of did last week, but I kind of thought they would.
And still waxed them.
Didn't.
Yeah,
because the Giants didn't hold up their end of the bargain.
And so the Giants going on the road are going to be better?
I think it's a prime spot where everybody and their dog will be against the Giants, and this is the precise spot where the New York Giants, with some really good players on the offensive side of the ball, make a statement.
I think the game that ends up following that logic is this next game. Tennessee at Buffalo. Projections have this a lot closer than probably almost anyone thinks. So when we think about it, you have Tennessee coming off a very impressive win. It was my super lock last week, my confidence pick to stay close with the Eagles. It was very impressive what they did. I like the moxie they showed in overtime by saying, screw it, we're going for the win, let's do this. And they end up getting it. It kind of worked to the reverse of the Colts situation up against the Texans. But this defense is no joke. And that's what we thought coming into the season. This is a game to really get Derrick Henry going potentially against a bad run defense with the Buffalo Bills. I don't quite understand what's going on here in terms of the projections, because I look at this, I'm like, Tennessee probably wins this game almost like the last one I projected, like 30-3, something like that, but I just know that's not how this is going to go down. I'm going to pick Tennessee to win 20-13, and I don't feel good about it. Geoff?
Yeah, you probably shouldn't, and I can understand why, and this is another one. In the world of spot games, I love spot games, and I'm sorry if I'm just hammering it home too much, but here we have another perfect one. You beat the defending Super Bowl champs at home in overtime, which I always think is a perfect fade spot, especially when you weren't even projected to win the game to begin with. And now you go to Buffalo. Buffalo sucks. We all get it. But I don't know. They showed us once this year. They responded to getting their asses whooped a couple times. And at home, I think it's going to be like a really weird game. To get off page for a moment, I hope Tim, because they didn't have enough superstars on Tennessee when we did our season preview, couldn't believe in them. But me and you, Pat, kept preaching really how deep and solid this team is. And one of the few question marks was we didn't know what to make of Vrabel. Well, holy crap. He's probably won them 2 games alone, in my opinion, and would be my coach of the year vote right now. I swear to God. Everyone that had to make a hire this offseason might be regretting that one not going their way to their team, because he looks like a superstar. Exciting game. I know pussyfooting around, but give me the Titans by a field goal, a close one, 28 30. No, that's way too many points. 21-18, Tennessee road win. But this team is really, man for man, that roster is quality. The name's escaping me. There is a big defensive injury this week, but I believe Vrabel will do something, a fake special teams play or something to overcome it.
The coin likes Buffalo in this spot, Tim. Do you also like Buffalo?
17-15 for the Titans.
So we see it the same.
I don't actually think that this Tennessee team deserves much credit. They're 22nd overall in DVOA. Their offense is terrible. Their defense is middle of the road. I think as long as Mariota's hurt, he's not providing no particular advantage. I mean, give them credit again going into Philly and playing that game. I give them their props for that. They played a very good game. They executed it well. Philadelphia had a couple of if you'd played that overtime over 10 times, the Eagles would have won it 9 times. The couple of the conversions the Titans had were pretty miraculous, but they got them, so good for them. I don't think long-term this Titans team is profoundly flawed. If they go up against someone like Kansas City or New England or Cincinnati, I don't think they have much of a prayer. But nonetheless, this is they just happen to be falling into a pretty good schedule to start the season, and they win a very tight game. But they're reckoning coming, to be sure.
I mean, this is also a top 10 defensive line in terms of getting to the quarterback against the worst team in adjusted sack rate. So, yeah. I mean, we saw it last week with the Packers able to generate some pressure on Josh Allen. And there was one play. It was when he threw the pick that was in the end zone. He rolled out, they were getting after him, and it looked like he was like, the cameraman thought Josh Allen was throwing the ball away, and instead he just threw it into the end zone to 3 Packers. Like, it was like, what's going on here?
Well, he's a kid, and he's going to make mistakes.
He's
That's
better,
just how it is.
Also, he's better than Sam Darnold, so I probably shouldn't give him too much.
We shall see.
Too much heat.
We by the end of the year we won't be able to evaluate the truth of that claim.
Well, I mean, it doesn't count It doesn't count 3 years from now when Sam Darnold's winning the Arena Bowl, or he's like the XFL MVP.
All right, that's fine. You said pretty much the same stuff about Jared Goff a year and a half ago, and now you bag on your face. So continue to write off a top 3 drafted quarterback at your peril.
No, this is like a Kelly Smith, but worse.
Wow. Okay, that's fine. I know you're just trying to rile me up and get me upset, but I am in a zen place right now, and I'm not going to get upset by these sorts of things. I'm going to see the bright side of things.
I just think this is, I don't know, maybe my perception is just remembering certain ones, but I think this is just going to be a sneaky game at the Ralph on Sunday, and it smells fishy, and the perceptions just seem wrong. So it's probably a stay away, but I think it's a close one.
Yeah, this feels like I like Tennessee in this game, but this does feel like either you kind of pick Buffalo to win or you just poo-poo it off to the side. Or we could be in the same situation as I sat here last week and said the exact same thing. Like, on paper, New Orleans should blow out the Giants because they should have no chance. And it turned out the Giants didn't have a chance in this game. And when we go back and look at this game next week, you're like, of course Tennessee won by 35. Like, it could also be one of those games too.
Shall we move on to the Chateaubriand pick of this week?
All right, let's do it. Next game. Geoff, you're out on the West Coast. We're on to the late slate again, so we'll let you start with this. Your Los Angeles Chargers are hosting the Oakland Raiders. And projections like the Chargers here. But projections, any sort of system that you run, Geoff, always seems to like the Chargers, don't they?
The Chargers have been really bad against projections this year. When in years past, even when they were bad, they seem to be quite strong. I am in a pretty dark place with this team right now, but hoping that I'm hoping they'll drag me out of it, and in a month's time I'll be laughing at myself. But on many levels, I cannot stand so many things. I'm losing the coach. The coach is losing me. in those scenarios in games where it's like go for it, field goal, punt, we are never on the same page. And not only does he do the option that I think might be the second option, he picks the third option in my mind, what should be happening each time. So I am so distraught with the coach on that level. And I could break this into the sort of minutia that they got rid of the punter this week. He's a good young punter. I really didn't have an issue.
Yeah, but you guys did pick up Tim's buddy, Donnie Jones.
Yeah, we met Donnie Jones, and we thought he was a nice guy.
He was a nice guy.
He talked to us as much as he wanted. I shook his hand.
Oh, great. I just so the punter, we made the punter the scapegoat for the missed extra points because apparently the holds were the issue. I am just so.
Well, they liked the punter enough to try to punt from the 31-yard line.
I am just so rattled in many ways. And going to the game last week, before I say anything else, when I'm in my seat, I was so very happy. Other than that, I despised my entire experience going to LA. Outside of that, I got to the game Sunday morning. I got there really quick, honestly, maybe like 25 minutes longer than it would have taken me to get out to door to the Qualcomm. Because Qualcomm, you got to go down this like little one-hill ramp, and that's like 40 minutes in itself sometimes. But the walk up to the stadium, ask me how to describe it. I felt like I was at like a chic food fair. Like I don't even know how to explain where I was last Sunday.
How much red and gold was there in the stands?
There's a lot, but that's San Francisco, and we're in California. And even if that game was in San Diego, it would have been like 50-50. But there it was probably 60-40 San Fran. In my seat, I was happy. But I don't know. I got to see the most ultimate Charger thing ever. Rivers to Gates for a touchdown. That was like 10 feet in front of me. And if I was an 8-year-old boy, I might have gotten the football. We sure so ain't giving one to me. And I got to see 2 missed extra points. Like, what is more Chargers in like the recent years than those 2 things? The defense sucks. They can't stop anybody, man. This Beathard got. I don't know. Joey Bosa's got to come back. They get Corey Leggett back this week, so that's a good thing. But kudos. I don't think anyone cares the Chargers even exist. Like, Joey Bosa being hurt. Like, the fact that, to me, that's not even a story, and then no one talks about it, and that I think we just so mismanaged this injury from the onstart and misdiagnosed it when it first happened in camp. Like, it's one of 2 options. We have the greatest PR team in the universe that's like hidden this thing from like national media that a guy that would have maybe been top 3 for defensive player of the year can't play. And I don't think our PR staff's that good. So I just think nobody gives a shit, period, about them.
I think this is going to be a tale of 2 halves for the Chargers. When they get Bosa back, everyone will have the thing is their schedule is on paper very easy. So they can kind of glide into just being around 500, maybe a game over by the time they get their bye and Bosa comes back. And when Bosa comes back, if he's actually healthy, like this could turn into a top 5 defensive team from being like a bottom 5. But without Bosa, like they're legit bad on defense.
Yeah, and I watch it in person, Pat. In person. Melvin Ingram is getting double and triple teams. But oh my God, do you guys see what I see? Do you watch these games and does Derwin James just pop off the TV?
Yes. He's the defensive rookie of the year in my mind with a bullet.
That means he's going to break his leg now. Thanks, Tim.
Well, he's a rookie. He makes dumb mistakes, and he did against the Rams. But nevertheless, he's a great player. Like the Chargers should be delighted that they were able to draft him.
So I think in this game, like the thing that Oakland's been able to do, like Oakland's been awful. They're running a ton of plays on offense. They're not throwing the ball down the field. But one thing they've been able to extend these plays because somehow Jared Cook has like turned into a thing. And you hit on the key name here. James is just going to take away Cook. The one thing that the Chargers have been able to do on defense is just limit tight ends. The number one team in DVOA versus tight ends so far this year. And they haven't played nobodies every single week. Like they shut down Travis Kelce, which is frankly quite stunning because no team really shuts down Travis Kelce. The Chargers were able to do that. And if you can take away a little cogs of this offense, like, do you really expect Amari Cooper to put up 200 yards? Like, you're going to have to turn around and give the ball to Marshawn Lynch like 35 times. And if that's the case, you're not going to win. So I think the Chargers win this by 7. I'm going to say 30-23 Chargers.
I hope you're right. There are some concerns. Kittle had a big touchdown, though, Pat. So that was quite embarrassing. He galloped in open field like he never should have in this world.
But here, let me ask you this though. Outside of that one play that Kittle had, and obviously he broke a big one, did he do anything in that game?
He had big like third down conversions, but from like a fantasy perspective, I guess not. But I thought he helped them move the chains. I remember him frustrating me a lot, so I think he did actually, but I could be wrong. Could be a blur in some ways. Offensive line concerns. Okun will be a game-time decision. Barksdale still not back. One of the things that has made the Chargers better, more consistent, compared to, if you remember, the real ugly patch a few years ago, is Phillip doesn't get sacked nearly as much anymore. His sack rate's been fantastic. So that could be a concern, but they'll be able to score on the Raiders. I gotta pick them. It seems like the projections have been getting smaller since they came out Sunday night. It keeps getting shorter and shorter. People really down on this bunch from San Diego, I'll say.
Tim, what are you taking?
I love the silver and black in this game. To start the year, I had picked both the Chargers and Broncos as my wild card teams, and I'm kind of thinking we're getting to the point where I'm going to have to start thinking about looking around for somebody else. And Oakland is the team that's on my radar as a real sleeper. They're 1-3. They could certainly be 3-1. I think they've been more impressive than you think they have. I think that Gruden's gotten better every week. This team has looked better every single week. I look at their schedule. After this Chargers game, it's Seahawks, home with the Colts, Niners, Chargers again, Cardinals. That's 5. I think that's 5-1 in those 6 games. I think in a soft AFC, the Raiders, they're off. Marshawn Lynch looks exceptionally good. If he keeps this pace up, he will probably lead the AFC in rushing the way he's playing. Last couple of weeks, Carr has looked better. The receivers have started to look crisper in their routes. The defense is still a concern. That's got to come around, but it's the AFC, and nobody's really all that good outside of Kansas City. I don't think the Chargers can stop what Oakland does. I think the Chargers, until the Chargers stop making mistakes on special teams, I'm done picking them. They got away with it against Bethard, but they haven't been getting away with it too often. So I think it's 33-22 Raiders. The Chargers, until the Chargers stop what they are doing and coach special teams as their number one priority, that team is not taking itself seriously. And the coach,
I agree. Stop what we're doing.
Pardon me?
I agree. Stop what we're doing. Something's got to change. It's actually amazing for all the talk.
If he wants to keep his job, he needs to stop what he is doing and focus full time. He should fire the special teams coordinator, become the special teams coordinator, and take that part of the game into his own hands, because that is single-handedly hampering this team. And until I see otherwise from the Chargers, I'm not picking them. I'm going to take the Raiders.
And I need to respond to what you said, but my biggest takeaway has nothing to do with what you said about the Chargers. My big takeaway from your rant here is that you call Les Titans the Titans Foss, but you're here to tell me about the Raiders being great? Get out of town. Get out of town.
The Raiders are playmakers, and the Raiders are exciting. The Raiders are probably the most fun team to watch in the NFL right now, outside of Kansas City and the Rams.
What are you talking about?
I am transfixed when the Raiders are on TV. I went like wire to wire with that Raiders.
You make one freaking call to have a Raiders stack, it goes right, and all of a sudden they're like great.
I'm going gaga over this Raiders team right now. I really think they're special. I really think
they already have like the worst coach in football. You can't just like pile on them when it comes to this stuff. But like, I mean,
no, they have the worst coach. Todd Bowles doesn't coach them.
I mean, Bill O'Brien's the worst coach of football, or Hugh Jackson.
Well, that actually is true.
Either way, like you said, what could they do against Beathard? Are we sure that Derek Carr is better than Beathard?
Yes, I feel without a doubt that that's true.
I don't know if that's true or not.
And again, if you think there were a lot of Niners fans there, there'll be even more Raiders fans there this week. Like, this is not a home.
Yeah,
This is a Raiders home game.
I could have stayed because the weekend I could have stayed, just come home on Monday. I saw the schedule. You couldn't. I wouldn't go to a Raider game in LA. I don't want to die.
Yeah,
you couldn't.
You don't want to get shanked in the parking lot.
Yeah, it's going to be bad. You think it's been bad for other games? It really lost focus last year because the Raider game in LA versus the Chargers last year was week 17, and it was like meaningless and yada, yada, yada. This one being not meaningless and kind of in the meat of the year, it's going to be bad in there. I can't imagine what that crowd disparity will be. It'll be scary.
What did you predict the score, Geoff?
34-25. The good guys in blue and yellow.
All right, so there's a lot of Island games. Tim, if you're having a good week here, Tim, you might be up like 25 games on me by the time next week comes along, because it's a round of Chargers minus you here, because the coin is on LA as well. Next game, Arizona at San Francisco. Projections like San Francisco. This game is going to be borderline unwatchable, but I think Arizona wins this game. Bad offensive line in San Francisco. Really good defensive line for the Arizona Cardinals. They're generating a ton of pressure right now. I think this game is slow. I think this game is low scoring, and the Cardinals win 17-14.
I agree with everything.
Let me piggyback.
Go ahead, Tim.
I agree with everything you said except the final score. I pick it 10-10.
This is the second Arizona tie you've picked this year, by the way.
I don't. And this Cardinals team is trash. In this situation, I cannot pick the 49ers to win by as much as some people think projections are. I have got to play either a tie or an Arizona win. They've got the better quarterback, even though it's only the second game. I'm sorry. It's like an egalite. This is an egalite.
So you realize? Oh, okay.
Listen, man, put it this way. I mean, a tie in Baccarat and get an egalite. Everyone's a winner. Would be probably more likely. It'd be an 8-1 sort of situation rather than what a tie might be in this game. But Geoff, who are you taking here?
Yeah, I'm going to sort of piggyback on a lot of the things you said, Pat. That Arizona D-line is showing a lot of life. Projections took a dip because of what CJ did against the Chargers, but the Chargers defense sucks. It sucks. They don't stop anybody for anything. Other than, early in the Bills game, Josh Allen's like first 3 drives starting a game in his life. The only time it feels like they've played consistent football. So I think people are overreacting to how close San Francisco made it last week because they were projected to get romped. This could be a super luck. I like Arizona in this game a lot.
Yeah, I really like Arizona as well. Like when we look at it across the board, San Francisco is 28th in offense, or 22nd in defense, 28th on special teams. Arizona's 31st on offense, no surprise, 29th on special teams, but they're 11 in defense. Like their defense could be top 10 by the end of the year. I mean, it's close to that right now, but I think this is something that is somewhat sustainable for them. And if that's going to be the case, like you have a couple playmakers on San Francisco that could break a big one, like we saw with Kittle Me Timbers last week. But I just think, again, this reeks of like David Johnson gets 30 touches. You're going to see some like Alfred Morris in this game, and he might end up with like 15 carries. Like the clock is going to be moving. This game's going to be close. It could really go either way, but I'll take Arizona by a field goal. Next game.
What is the coin like?
The coin likes Arizona as well. It's a round of Cardinals on this show against San Francisco. Rams, Seattle. I have a weird theory about this game. So, Tim, I want to throw this out to you here first. Remember when Seattle was good for all those years and the Rams were just fucking dreadful?
Yes.
But every time they'd play, it'd be a 3-point game?
Yes.
Do you think that works in reverse when the Rams are really good and the Seahawks aren't?
It's an interesting theory. I don't think so, but I've never thought of it before, so you're sort of catching me unawares. No, I don't think so. I mean, I think we can put to bed the idea that the Rams have the best defense the last 2 decades. I think if that was one of the hottest takes I've heard, we can put that to bed. When a pretty mediocre Vikings team can put 31 on you. Listen, the Rams are coming off the mini bye. The Seahawks had to scrape to get past a dreadful Cardinals team. Again, it's one of those questions you have to ask. What point total do you have to keep the Rams under to win? I think you got to keep them under 30. I don't think Seattle can do it. I picked it 30-20 for the Rams. I just think they're firing on all cylinders. Seattle is a trash team. They lost their best defensive player for the season. Just there's no sign to me pointing here other than it's a divisional game. Like you said, it could be tight. They know each other quite well. Carroll sort of knows his opponents, but I'm not stepping in front of this Rams team now. And if I get flattened, I'm getting flattened with a lot of other people.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say I'm gonna take the Rams to win. I think they win 25-20. I think this game does kind of breach on close. Did you know the Seattle defense has been better than the Rams defense this year, Geoff?
I wouldn't. That's where perception and reality, I guess, differ a great deal. We see that a lot in the NFL. And you know what? I want to take this moment, speaking of perception versus reality and recency bias, to point out that fantastic scientific work done by your buddy Evan Silva this week, when after the week 3 games, he put out a Twitter poll, which quarterback would you rather have, Josh Allen or Trubisky? Allen won in essentially a 70-30 domination. He put out the exact same Twitter poll after this Sunday. Trubisky wins 70-30. So what a crazy world, recency bias. But to get to the point on hand, the only case for Seattle is how good Russell Wilson's been in his career when getting this kind of take back. But this is just a dumpster fire of a team. And the Rams never take their foot off the pedal. They don't do it. So give me the Rams, whatever is required of them to happen. 32-20.
32-20. All right. Yes, me and the coin are on team. I mean, I like the Rams to win. I just think it's going to be closer to the coin, just like Seattle in general in this game. So, listen, the coin, it's got insights. It's got takeaways that maybe we're not seeing, but it likes Seattle here. Minnesota at Philadelphia. I'm going to make this one sort of simple. Everything that Philadelphia does well, I don't really think plays against Minnesota, and Philadelphia doesn't need to win this game. They don't. I'm not sweating the Redskins in that division as someone they really need to contend with. Philly needs to get themselves right. They need to stop allowing so many sacks. Even though Everson Griffin is not going to play, the pass rush for the Vikings has been completely average. I think the Vikings go into Philly and just they have too many big playmakers, and Philly's been exposed. They have a really good run defense, but hey, Dalvin Cook's hurt, and they don't run the ball anyway. And their pass defense is like league average, but they've given up gigantic plays. I could see this going a lot like that Tampa Bay game went in week 2 for Philadelphia, where they might drop behind early on big Thielen plays, on big Diggs plays, and they end up making a game of it by the end because Minnesota eventually stalls. But I think Minnesota wins 28-21 here. Tim?
I completely disagree. Last time we saw these two teams played, it was a beat down 38-7 in the title game. Not much has changed other than the Eagles have upgraded a quarterback and the Vikings have downgraded a quarterback. And the Vikings defense is worse than it was back then. And then the defense was better last year. This Vikings team is just not a good team. They're 1-2-1. If it hadn't been for a BS call against Matthews, they'd be 1-3. They're on the ropes. The Eagles are not losing 2 games in a row at home. I don't think they are. I think they have to. I don't think they have any games to spare in the NFC. I think Washington is competitive, as we're going to talk about pretty soon. I do not like anything this Vikings team is doing. Their calling card was defense for the most part. That looks terrible. Thielen's been playing great. Diggs has been playing great despite not getting the help. You look at the throws that Cousins made a couple of beautiful throws last Thursday night, but in the end, he cost his team the game with sloppy ball management, which is something he did in Washington as well. He did at Michigan State. This is who he is. He will always break your heart. And you do that kind of stuff against the Eagles, you got no chance. I picked the Eagles to win the game 24-13.
Geoff, the coin likes Minnesota. I like Minnesota. Do you like Minnesota?
I do like Minnesota, and again, maybe I'm just forcing spot games everywhere, but it's a revenge game from an NFC title game. One team is coming off extra rest, and the Eagles got to play a road game on Thursday next week. Eagle Nation's going to think I'm just picking on them, but I don't know. I think this is just a spot where the Vikings, desperation in many ways for this team, based on their record and their current run and how the NFC unfolds and the talent in it. Give me the Vikings I think desperation's got to breed brilliance, but I'm scared. Their defense can't stop anybody, and it's a bit of a problem. It's not the confidence play that I thought it might have been, in September, though. So, yeah, give me the Vikings. They'll win this game 2016.
Okay. I just think Minnesota, they do need to pick up a win here somewhere along the way. And Philadelphia is going to be fine. As long as they're good by the time, and Wentz is fine, and this offense is fine by the time November comes around, they could be somewhat unstoppable by the time that comes. They're not there right now. They can't block Wentz. Their offense is out of sync. They're still working Jeffrey back in. They can't figure out what's going on in the backfield. Like, they're not the Eagles that they're going to be in 6 weeks. So this is a time to catch them, I think. Last game, or Sunday night game, Dallas at Houston. Projections like Houston just a little bit. I don't know what to make of this game. I don't even want to watch this game. It's just too horrible. Like, as much talk of like how stuff can change, the pass blocking for the Dallas offensive line has been horrendous. Not as bad as Houston's, but that offensive line has not been good this year. What's this game going to be? Like 40 Zeke carries, who's already banged up? Like, I'll take the Texans to win this 24-20. I don't like this at all. Tim?
Well, Geoff and I have been Team Texans all season to our detriment. I suspect he'll feel the same way as I do as we climb aboard that Texans car one more time. Yeah, just Dallas right now, the playmakers are not showing up, the few that they have. And you said Zeke's hurt, Austin's hurt. They were lucky to escape that game against the Lions. They were not the better team in that game. The Texans, played a pretty even game with the Colts. We got a break here or there. Both teams are poorly coached. It's an awful game. It's unfortunate that this is what they stuck us with on Sunday Night Football. I got the Texans winning it 27-17.
Lamar Miller is dealing with a chest injury. We're not going to know what his status is, obviously, for fantasy purposes, because this is the late game, and you're probably not going to wait around just so you can unleash Alfred Blue against the Cowboys. But I think both defensive lines in this game just cause havoc. It's going to be slow. It's going to be low scoring. Like I said, 24-20 for me. Maybe it's like 2016, something like that for the Texans. Geoff, are you going to make this a round of Texans? Because the coin is on Houston as well.
I'm going to make this a round of Texans, and maybe the projections I would say are accurate if Sean Lee plays, but I don't think he's playing. And to me, that's just a huge advantage for the Texans. I think they'll be able to move the ball against Dallas this week. I think it's 27-20 Houston in an out-of-conference game that in many ways means more to little brother in the state. So give me the Texans.
I do want to give a special shout out to a guy that you may have seen on the Pat Mayo Experience before. A guy that when you were booking Gabe's show, Geoff, a guy you would go to a lot, Jason Braddock. If you're a fan of anything Houston, he just launched a site called Houston Preeminence. So you can go check that out. It's a brand new site covering all things sporting-wise in Houston. I want to give a shout out to my guy Jason on that one. Follow him on Twitter at Jason Braddock, Jayson Braddock. You always like Braddock, right?
Yeah, no, I love Braddock, and I've been seeing that he's launched that venture, and it seems pretty on the cutting edge of Houston sports. He's not missing a beat. I mean, he's even breaking down the high school scene there, so it seems pretty cool.
Yeah, it's almost like a more micro version of what The Athletic is doing, where The Athletic has kind of supplanted your local newspaper in terms of local coverage on the major sporting teams. This is just taking it another step farther in terms of Houston sports. So you can go to hptx.us and go check that out. Just want to give us, not paying for a spot, didn't ask me. I went and checked it out. I thought it was pretty cool. And if you want to talk about like college football, he's going to do Houston stuff, but just following Braddock for college football takes in general is where you want to be at. One of the great online scouts out there. If you want to go do it. Monday Night Football, Washington at New Orleans. Tim, will Drew Brees break Peyton Manning's record in this game of all-time passing yards?
He most certainly will. Shootout. Absolutely thrilling game. Game of the week. 38-35 Saints. Monday Night Football gets another gem. It's been a good run for them. I like both teams a lot. I think both teams can score up and down the field. Last time we saw the Redskins, they were demolishing the Packers. Other than that one weird game against the Colts, Washington has looked every bit the part of a team that can vie for the playoffs. But it's the Dome. It's indoors. Breeze thrives in big spots like this. The only thing that would really hesitate me from picking the Saints would be the return of Mark Ingram, who I think can single-handedly destroy their chances in the red zone every time he touches the ball. But outside of him, I think the Saints are firing on all cylinders. They played great against the Giants. It's just a great game. It could be I know it sounds cliche, but whichever team has the final possession is probably in the best chance to win. But I will pick the Saints 38-35 in a nail-biter.
I think this game is going to be close, too. I tell you what, man, the team that scores the most points tonight is going to walk away the winner, Tim.
That often happens.
Usually, that's what ends up happening. So, Geoff, I actually like Washington to sneak an upset here. I'm going to say it's 33-30 Skins on Monday night. The defense is a lot better than people may think it is coming off the rest. They can get everyone healthy. The offensive line is healthy. How many rushing yards will Adrian Peterson have, actually, Tim? Over, under 137.5?
I would take the under on that, but he gets into the end zone at least once.
All right, Geoff, how do you see this playing out?
I'm with you, Pat. I think the Redskins just end up winning a shootout. Whoever's got ball last, tight feeling, exciting game, much to the game flow. Tim had spoken about Drew Brees will break the record, but unfortunately they'll be on the wrong side of just an exciting home, a Monday night atmosphere that I think goes the Redskins' way in this one. They'll pull out the 37-34 victory.
All right, and the coin will make that a round of Washington Redskins on a Monday Night Football. That'll do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Let's get to our super confidence picks of the week. I'm winning, so I'll go last in this because this is truly what matters. This is where you make them green. So, Tim, you're in last place. I'm giving the tiebreaker to Geoff because I like him more, so you're up first.
I'm going to take the Oakland Raiders.
All right. Geoff, who are you taking?
You know, everyone got a chance to say how well their super luck last week went to game script. I think I said this would be one of those games. Trubisky looked awesome, and that went well. Moving on, the complete opposite of Tim's approach. I've got the New York Jets. I think Denver is the emotional last-second loss. That's going to linger. The Jets aren't nearly as bad as people think they are. There's a perception that Denver's not horrible, but you just think through everything that's happened to them this year. Trust me, they are. The Jets win that football game.
I've got it narrowed down to 3. I really like Carolina. What was the other one? I really like Arizona, and I really like Baltimore. The easiest way to go about this is, Arizona can be really flighty. They may not score a point, so that's tough. So I'll take Baltimore for my super confidence pick of the week in Cleveland. I always worry about Baltimore on the road, but they just went into Pittsburgh and won. I think they can go into Cleveland and just win that game. That makes a lot of logical sense to me. So I'll take the Ravens in this spot. Tim, do you have any super duper, definitely not losing picks of the week?
Yeah, it's funny that you should ask, Patrick. There are 4 teams in particular, I believe, you could throw them together, and I can't imagine any of the 4 losing.
So do you think this is just that these 4 teams are definitely going to win the game?
Yes, I believe they are going to win the game on the field, and there are a lot of farms that could be had.
Okay.
I like the Oakland Raiders, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Baltimore Ravens. Those 4 teams are not going to lose.
Don't curse my poor Ravens. I made it my super confidence pick.
Personally, I don't believe in curses. And as Rocktober showed last night, neither does anybody else.
Well, in terms of your super duper confidence plays of the year, you're 0-4.
Yeah, but that'll turn around.
You're feeling it's coming for you on this one?
Well, there are certain things I'd like to do with these plays that I can't right now.
So what I recommend is everyone go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/thepme, or just click on Picks Cheat Sheet, link in the description, and go check out to see what the picks are up there. Suggest you do that. You might understand. I mean, if you don't understand what we're fucking talking about at this point, too, don't watch the show anymore. Okay? Just that makes
helpful advice 2 hours in.
Yeah, listen, like if you've made it this far and you can't like grasp what we're talking about, like get a fucking clue and get out of here. Like go find that before you watch this again. Like give your head a shake, people. I'm sick of you. Like, you should see the emails that I get from people. Oh my god.
My advice would be for them to delete the podcast and re-download it a second time and listen to it a second time with the cheat sheet if they didn't understand it the first time.
See, listen, that is a fantastic idea. Yes, instead of you see, Tim, I like where you're coming from in this one. Instead of losing viewers, get double the viewers. That is savvy to me. That makes a lot of sense.
Listen, I am an SEO expert.
Do you know what SEO stands for? Have you figured that out yet?
Yes, I know what it means.
What does it mean? Without Googling it right now.
Search engine optimization.
You have it pulled up, don't you?
I do not.
Yeah, you do.
You're true blue.
All right, Geoff, when are you back?
I'm back on Saturday.
So we will see you in studio next week?
Absolutely.
All right, we'll see Geoff Fienberg in studio next week. Until then, you can find him on the Twitters at gfienberg17, and always you can follow Tim Undergust.
Tim Undergust.
That is not my name.
Where can they follow you on Twitter, Tim?
It
doesn't matter where they follow you on Twitter.
Come on.
You always got to keep your head in the game, Tim.
Yeah.
You let your guard down for a split second.
I certainly did.
Check out Tim on Twitter at Tim Andercust. He'll always respond to you in all caps about how much he loves the Jets. I wonder.
No.
I'm gonna see. Maybe I'm gonna go to your Twitter account after this is out and see. And I'm gonna ask you on Twitter what your public prediction is for the Jets record, and we'll see what your Twitter account says about it. See if it meshes up with what you said on the show.
I said 6 wins and 10 losses. I'm sticking with it.
And then you set the over under at 7.5 right before.
Well, that was what my op. That was op.
And then said they'd probably go over.
No, I didn't say that.
You also said they'd win the division last week.
Yeah, I know, but I was wrong, and I've seen the light. And once you've seen the light, and you've been like St. Paul on the road to Damascus, you change your views.
It strikes me more like you're like Trump that time. They told him not to look at the eclipse, but he did anyway.
He couldn't help himself, could he?
That's like you. You can't help yourself.
I will not lose my mind. If the Jets win, I will be even Steven. I've learned my lessons. Rocky September. The rest of the year, I will be calm about them.
Geoff, are you mixing like a Ryan Ginger on your end?
No, sorry. It was a ruffling bathing suit. I apologize.
All right. We'll get out of here. I'm Pat Mayo. You can follow me on Twitter at the PME, same as Facebook, which I suggest that you check out, and on Instagram at the PME. Give the audio pod a sub, even if you don't listen. Just go download it. That does me just as good. I don't care if you listen or not. But the downloads and the likes and the views, that is what keeps this show free. And if you want to get in a draw for $20 DK, me giving back to you. It's actually Draftkings giving back to you. But either way, what's $20? Everyone can use $20. Give the episode a like, smash that button, use your DK handle in the comment section, and tell me which team you think is going to score the most points in Week 5. That'll do it. I'll be back Friday with the injury report and the Draftkings ownership projections for the week. Everything else that's in the description, so I suggest you go check that out. Good luck in Week 5. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!